Hi everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to use FirebaseUI to populate RecyclerView. FirebaseUI is an open source library that makes it really easy to connect to Firebase APIs like real-time database, cloud storage, and authentication. When using database in your app, you would normally need to add value event listeners to your database references to listen for changes, but this can quickly make your code messy and unnecessarily long. So Firebase UI solves this problem by streamlining the entire process and essentially doing most of the work for you. To demonstrate, we'll use Firebase UI to populate a basic list of movies, and it will look something like this. So this could be an app that allows a user to input a list of their favorite movies, and it will appear here. And there will also be a floating action button, and when you click on the button, it will take you to a screen where you can upload the movie poster and input information about the movie such as its title and genre. Okay, so let's begin. So far, I've opened up a new Android Studio project, and this is just the starter code for a basic activity. I've also connected Firebase to my app and added the necessary dependencies. So here I have Firebase database, storage. We're not going to be using auth, but it's there, and also the Firebase UI dependency. So the Firebase UI dependency can be found on the library's GitHub page. So it's located at firebase/firebaseui-android. And if you scroll down and go to the installation section, it will show you the different dependencies they have. You can just add in the specific one you need, or there is a single target that includes all of the libraries above, and that's the one that I have. Okay, so to use Firebase UI, you need two things. Java model class that represents our database objects, and a custom RecyclerView adapter to map from a collection in Firebase to Android. So let's start off by making the model class. So I'm just going to create a new Java class. And I'm going to name it movie. Okay. So our model class is going to hold all of the attributes that each of our movie object has. And in our case, this is going to be some sort of reference to an image, the title, and the genre. So those are going to be my private instance variables. So image, private string, title, and genre. So next you want to make an empty public constructor, and this is really important to have because this is how Firebase is going to map data from Firebase into Java objects. You also want to make a regular constructor that takes in the fields that correspond to our instance variables. So I'm going to input those and set the variables. And lastly, we want to add some accessor methods for each of our variables. So I have a get image, and then a get title, and a get genre. Okay, so now that we have a model class, we're ready to add some data into our database so we can read it in and put it into our RecyclerView. So I'm going to quickly make an activity to do that off screen, and I'll be back and briefly go over it before we move on with connecting Firebase UI. Okay, so I've made a new movie activity. This is what it looks like. So basically there's just a button for users to upload an image of the movie poster from their gallery, and it'll appear here. And then there are two edit texts where they can input the information, and then a done button. So in the actual activity, here I connect the UI elements, and then I have a key. So this is the unique string that I get when I call push on a database reference, and I'm using this in two ways. So one, I'm using this unique key to index my movies, and the second way is I'm using this key as the name of the movie poster. So essentially, that's how I link the movie object to its appropriate picture in Firebase storage. Moving on, here's just the code to select an image from the gallery. This loads the image into the imagery using the glide library, and then here is where I actually upload the image to Firebase storage under the name key. Scrolling down, I just register the button clicks here. In the first one, this is just an intent to select an image from the gallery. And then in the logic for the done button is actually where I have all of the logic for saving my data to the database. So first I create a new movie object, and this is just the model class that we created earlier, and I pass in the appropriate information. So key is the reference to the image, and then title and genre are just whatever the user typed into the edit text. Then I do database.getReference.child_of_key.setValue to m, and basically what this does is it creates a new key with the name of key in the database, and then takes all of the attributes in the movie m object and sets it as children underneath key. So in the console, let me show you what this kind of looks like. So this is the structure that I have just created. So this is the root of the database, and I created a key node with all of the appropriate information about a particular movie underneath it. Okay, so now that we have some data in our database, we're ready to set up the recycler view. So I'm going to go into content main, which is the layout file for the main activity. And right now there's just a text view, but I'm going to delete that and put in a recycler view. And then I'm going to give it a unique ID. I'm just going to call it recycler view. And since this is a constrained layout, I'm going to quickly constrain this recycler view to the edges of the screen. Okay. So now we can go back to our main activity and connect our recycler view. So I'm going to do recycler view equals find view by ID r.id.recyclerView, import the library, and as always you need to still add a layout manager, and I'm just going to use a linear layout manager for simplicity. Okay, so from here on out we need to think about what the typical components of a recycler view are. And they are a layout file and an adapter. And then inside the adapter we have a viewHolder class and an onBind viewHolder method that binds the correct data to the recycler view. In FirebaseUI we actually need the same exact components, but they are just structured a little bit differently. So let's begin with the layout file. I've actually already created it right here. So basically there's just a spot for the image, and then I have two text views that display the title and the genre of the movie. Okay, so next we need to make a view holder. So I'm just going to make a new Java class and call it movie holder. Now the movie holder actually serves the same purpose as RecyclerView's view holder. Basically, it's just a container for our UI elements. So we're going to just extend RecyclerView's view holder, because essentially it is the same thing. I'm going to create the constructor, and here view is going to be your movie.xml file. So in the view holder, you normally connect your UI elements. When you're using Firebase UI, same thing happens. You want to connect your UI elements, so I'm going to declare them right here. So I had an image view and two text views. And then I'm just going to import the classes and then connect them here. So in movie.xml, I gave them IDs of image, title, and genre. So I'm just going to use those to connect my UI elements. So I'm going to do item view dot find view by ID, and same thing with the other things. Okay, so lastly we need to make some setter methods. So I'm just going to add a set title, and since we have our UI elements connected, we can just do title.setText. I'm going to do the same thing for genre. I'm going to set the text to be G, and then we also need to set the image view, or set the image. So I'm going to pass in a string, and this is where Firebase UI comes in handy again. So Firebase UI allows us to not have to download the image from Firebase storage in order to load it into an image view. All we need is the storage reference to the image. So in our case, I saved the image under the name of key. So I'm just going to get the reference of key, or sorry, I, because that's the key. And then all I have to do is use the glide library, and I'm going to do glide.with a context. I'll add in the context. And then do using a new Firebase image loader. So basically this is the thing that simplifies the process for us. And we're going to load ref into our image and import that class, and we are done. So that's all you have to do in terms of the movie holder. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our main activity and set up our adapter. So just like a regular recycler view setup, we need to make an adapter. And in Firebase UI, we use a special class called the Firebase Recycler Adapter. And this is a generic class, so it takes in the model class, which is movie. And then after that, it takes in the movie holder. I'm just going to call it adapter and initialize the adapter. Okay, so here we're going to put in some parameters. We're going to need movie.class again, our layout file, our movie holder class, and a database reference, ref. So ref is going to be the parent of where all of your data is located. So in this case, the parent is just going to be the root of the database. If you had another node that was housing this key 1 node, then you would take the reference pointing to that parent instead. So in our case, we just need a basic database reference to our database. So I'm just going to do that. And then we're going to fill in the Populate view holder method. So this is essentially on-bind view holder, and we get the movie holder, a movie object, and a position. So the movie object is a model of the data that Firebase read in from the database. And then position is just the index of the item in your list. And all we have to do here is set the fields of our view holder using the setter methods that we just made. So I'm going to set the genre, and our appropriate genre is located inside model. So all we have to do is call get genre, and we do the same thing for the other fields. Set image model.getImage, and if you remember from the view holder class, we needed a context to use glide, so I'm just going to pass in get application context. Lastly, we just need to set this adapter to our recycler view. So I'm going to do recyclerView.setAdapter of adapter, and we are done. If you're using Firebase UI, that's all you have to do to populate RecyclerView. Now this is how you would do it if you had a standard database structure. So that means that all of the data that needs to be passed into the RecyclerView is located under one node. If you're using properly indexed data, Firebase UI also supports that as well. And there are actually very small changes you need to make to this code in order to support properly indexed data. The only difference is that you're using a different adapter, and this adapter is essentially the same. You just have to pass in one more argument. So for properly indexed data, such as this database structure, for example, I have two movies that I want to add into my RecyclerView here, and the real data for the movies is under this keys node. In that situation, I'm going to use a Firebase index recycler adapter, and it also takes in movie and movie holder. I'm just going to call this adapter 2, and it takes in almost the same arguments. So I need a movie class, our layout.movie, movie holder.class, a ref, and a key ref. So ref and key ref refer to these two nodes essentially. So ref in this case, I should probably call it ref2, is going to refer to the actual location of the data you want to be listening for changes for. So in this case, it would be this movies node right here. So that would be the ref2. So I'm going to get reference of movies. Now, key ref refers to the location of your actual data. So where the information is actually being stored. And in this case, it's this keys node. So key ref is going to point to the reference under keys. And you put ref2 first and then the key ref. And that's the only difference. The populate view holder method is exactly the same. You're still adding the same information into your view holder, and then you just want to make sure you're passing the right adapter. So if I have properly indexed data, I'm going to set adapter 2 as my adapter instead. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope this video was helpful. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial, and I hope this video was helpful.